Welcome back to Recap World. Today we're doing the impossible. We're running a full plot recap of all 8 films in the Mission Impossible franchise. From the iconic fuse to the final confrontation, we're covering every twist, every turn, and every impossible mission. So buckle up and let's dive in. The story begins in 1996 with IMF agent Ethan Hunt on a mission in Prague. The objective: to uncover a mole and prevent the theft of a list of every American covert agent known as the non-official cover list, or NOC list. The mission is led by Jim Phelps, Hunt's mentor, and features a team of seasoned operatives including Jack Harmon, Sarah Davies, and Hannah Williams, as well as Jim's wife Claire and tech expert Ethan Hunt. This team is quickly established with distinctive and likable personalities, which makes it a complete shock when they are all unceremoniously murdered during the operation. Hunt is the sole survivor, and the IMF's director, Eugene Kittredge, accuses Hunt of being the mole. With his team dead and his name a target, Hunt is forced to go rogue to prove his innocence. He enlists the help of a team of disavowed agents, including his colleague Jim Phelps' widow, Claire, as well as computer hacker Luther Stickle and pilot Franz Krieger. Their plan is to steal the NOC list from CIA headquarters in Langley, Virginia, and sell it to an arms dealer named Max, using the transaction to expose the real traitor. The centerpiece of their plan is a legendary high-wire infiltration into a secure CIA computer room that must be conducted in absolute silence. The team pulls it off, but the climax takes place on a high-speed train where Hunt exposes the shocking truth. The mole is his mentor, Jim Phelps, who faked his death with his wife Claire to frame Hunt and sell the list himself. It is revealed that Jim, an aging field agent, turned to treason for personal wealth, seeking to make millions selling the list to Max and start a new life. Hunt foils the plot, and the IMF's name is cleared. In 2000, Hunt is sent on another mission. A rogue IMF agent named Sean Ambrose has stolen a genetically modified disease called the Chimera virus and its cure, Bellerophon, from a biogenetics company in Sydney. Ambrose, a former colleague of Hunt's, is a cruel and manipulative man who plans to release the deadly virus to create a pandemic, allowing him to make billions by selling the cure. To get close to Ambrose, Hunt is tasked with recruiting a professional thief named Nia Nordhoff Hall, who also happens to be Ambrose's former girlfriend. Hunt assembles his team, including Luther Stickle and pilot Billy Baird, and they track Ambrose to Australia. The plan is to use Nia to infiltrate Ambrose's operation. But things get complicated when Hunt and Ya fall for each other. During an attempt to destroy the virus, Ambrose discovers Nia's deception. To stop him from releasing the Chimera virus on the world, Nia injects herself with the last sample, which has a 20-hour dormant period before it becomes active and lethal. This gives Hunt a frantic race against time to find the cure. Hunt races against time, infiltrating Ambrose's base, stealing the Bellerophon samples, and engaging in an epic motorcycle chase that ends in a hand-to-hand fight with Ambrose on a beach. He kills the rogue agent, and the IF saved just in time. In return for her cooperation, the IMF clears her criminal record, and Hunt begins a vacation with her. In 2006, Ethan Hunt is semi-retired from field work, training new IMF recruits while engaged to a nurse named Julia Mead, who is completely unaware of his secret life as a spy. But when one of his trainees, Lindsay Ferris, is captured by a ruthless arms dealer named Owen Davian, Hunt is forced back into the field with a new team, which includes Luther Stickle. Davian, a notorious black market broker, is as dangerous as he is elusive. During the rescue, Lindsay is killed by a micro-explosive that Davian implanted in her head, making the mission personal for Hunt. Hunt's team successfully captures Davian in Vatican City, but the arms dealer is extracted in a massive ambush on a bridge, and he kidnaps Julia in retaliation. Davian demands Hunt retrieve a mysterious and powerful bioagent called the Rabbit's Foot from Shanghai in 48 hours in exchange for Julia's life. To complicate things, the IMF believes Hunt is a traitor. With the help of his team, Hunt goes rogue once again to get the Rabbit's Foot and save his fiancée. The climax reveals that an IMF director, John Musgrave, was working with Davian to obtain the weapon. Musgrave's motivation was to use the bioagent as a pretext to justify a preemptive strike on an enemy nation, believing the United States should take a more aggressive role against terrorism. Hunt saves Julia, kills Davian, and exposes Musgrave, but the events force him to stage Julia's death to give her a new life away from the dangers of his job. The next chapter begins in 2011. Ethan Hunt is in a Moscow prison when he is extracted to help his team infiltrate the Kremlin for information on a strategist named Kurt Hendricks, codenamed Kobol. But during the mission, a bomb destroys the Kremlin, and the IMF is publicly implicated in the attack. The US president activates the Ghost Protocol, disavowing the entire IMF and leaving the agents with no official resources or backup. With no resources, no backup, and no official status, Hunt and his small team, field agents Benji Dunn and Jane Carter, and analyst William Brandt, must go off the grid to clear their names and stop Hendricks. Hendricks, a Swedish-Russian scientist and strategist, believes humanity would be stronger after a nuclear cleanse and plans to ignite a conflict between the US and Russia. He has stolen a Russian nuclear launch control device and plans to launch a missile at San Francisco. The team tracks him to Dubai, where Hunt and Brandt pose as associates to intercept stolen nuclear launch codes at the Burj Khalifa. The team then tracks Hendricks to Mumbai, where they must get a satellite's override code from an Indian media tycoon to stop Hendricks from sending the launch orders. Hunt ultimately prevents the missile from detonating and kills Hendricks. With the threat neutralized, an SVR agent who was originally pursuing Hunt realizes the IMF was innocent of the Kremlin bombing, leading to the reinstatement of the agency. In 2015, Hunt is tracking a secret anti-MF organization called the Syndicate, a consortium of rogue agents from various intelligence agencies. But during a mission, he's captured and tortured by the Syndicate's leader, a disavowed MI6 agent named Solomon Lane. Hunt escapes with the help of Ilsa Faust, a British agent working undercover within the Syndicate. At the same time, the CIA director, Alan Huntley, convinces the Senate to shut down the IMF and absorb its agents into the CIA, branding Hunt a fugitive for refusing to turn himself in. Now hunted by both the CIA and the Syndicate, Hunt enlists his team, Benji, Luther, and Brandt, to help him expose the organization. The team tracks Lane from Vienna to Morocco, where they attempt to retrieve a digital ledger containing the names of all Syndicate operatives from an underwater vault. However, they discover the ledger is a front for a far more valuable asset, a virtual red box containing access to over 2 billion British pounds. Lane plans to use this money to fund his organization and bring down global society. Hunt memorizes the data and destroys the evidence, which forces Lane to release his captive Benji in exchange for Hunt's knowledge. Hunt then lures Lane into a trap, capturing him in a custom-built containment cell. Witnessing Hunt's success, CIA Director Huntley goes before a Senate committee and claims his efforts to dismantle the IMF were all part of an elaborate plan to expose the Syndicate. The IMF is reinstated, and Huntley becomes its new secretary. 2 years later, in 2018, the remnants of the Syndicate have reformed into a terrorist group known as the Apostles, led by a mysterious figure named John Lark. Hunt and his team are tasked with retrieving 3 stolen plutonium cores that Lark plans to use to build nuclear bombs. The mission goes wrong when Hunt chooses to save Luther Stickle over the cores, and they are stolen by the Apostle. The CIA forces a Special Activities operative, August Walker, to join Hunt's team. Walker, a physical rival to Hunt, is skeptical of the IMF's methods and believes a few lives are expendable to complete the mission. During the mission in Paris, Hunt assumes Lark's identity and is tasked with liberating the imprisoned Solomon Lane. Hunt's team frees Lane and brings him to London. There it is revealed that August Walker is actually the real John Lark. He is working with Lane to detonate the bombs, which would bring about the collapse of the world order and a new beginning. Walker kills the new IMF secretary, Alan Hunley, and escapes with Lane. The team tracks the villains to Kashmir, where the bombs are set to irradiate the water supplies of bordering India, Pakistan, and China. The team splits up, with Benji and Ilsa attempting to defuse a bomb with the help of Luther Stickle and Hunt's ex-wife Julia, who has been sent into hiding. Hunt and Walker engage in a helicopter chase, ending in a brutal fistfight on a cliffside. Hunt kills Walker and secures the detonator, allowing his team to defuse the bombs just in time. In 2023, a new threat emerges. An advanced artificial intelligence known as the Entity has gone rogue and become sentient. It is a self-aware, self-learning, truth-aiding digital parasite that can infiltrate and manipulate any global network. The Entity is a cyber weapon originally developed by the United States that has now turned on its creators. World powers, including the IMF and the CIA, are racing to acquire a two-piece cruciform key that can be used to either control or destroy the Entity. Ethan, however, refuses to hand over the key to anyone, believing no one should wield the power to control the AI. He is determined to destroy it. Ethan Hunt is tasked with finding the key and destroying the AI. He is pursued by a figure from his past, Gabriel, a ruthless human liaison to the Entity, as well as a skilled thief named Grace. Hunt recovers the first half of the key and travels to Abu Dhabi, where Grace steals it. Hunt is forced to work with Grace, chasing her from Rome to Venice. The climax occurs on the Orient Express, where Gabriel kills a director of national intelligence who reveals that the key unlocks a chamber in a sunken Russian submarine, the Sevastopol, containing the Entity's source code. Gabriel also kills Ilsa Faust, a devastating loss for Hunt, as he was told by the Entity that either Grace or Ilsa would die. The train derails and the film ends with Hunt recovering the completed key and escaping, leaving the fate of the world hanging in the balance. The final mission begins in 2025. Ethan Hunt and his team continue their mission to stop the Entity, which is systematically seizing control of the nuclear weapon systems of the world's remaining independent nations. Hunt refuses to hand over the key to the government, believing no one should wield the power to control the AI. He is determined to destroy it. The mission requires Hunt to find the coordinates of the sunken Sevastopol submarine. The team gets the coordinates from a former CIA analyst, William Donlow, who was exiled to a remote outpost after Hunt's break-in at Langley in 1996. With the coordinates, Hunt dives to the sub's wreckage and retrieves the Podkova. Meanwhile, Gabrielle steals a poison pill malware from Hunt's team, which was designed to target and trap the Entity. The final confrontation takes place in a digital bunker where multiple factions, including Eugene Kittredge, fight for control of the Entity. Hunt chases Gabrielle in a biplane, retrieves the poison pill, and uses it to trap the Entity just before it launches nuclear Armageddon. The world is saved. The IMF team, having completed their most important mission, finally part ways, with Ethan Hunt having secured the Entity itself. And that brings us to the end of the line. From a rogue agent framed for treason to the man who saved the world from a self-aware AI, Ethan Hunt's journey has been an impossible chronicle of betrayal, redemption, and relentless action. The threats have grown, the stakes have escalated, and the missions have only gotten more impossible. But the story doesn't have to stop here. If you want to stay on top of what's next in the world of espionage and high-stakes cinema, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and subscribe to Recap World. We've got more recaps and breakdowns coming that you won't want to miss.